Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for watching this video. Today I'm going to talk about all the books that I read in the past couple of months. I'm hoping to make a series out of this where I update you on my reading every few months instead of doing like monthly wrap-ups, because my reading fluctuates every month. Sometimes I read 6 books a month and sometimes it's 1, and I feel like if I do monthly wrap-ups, I'm gonna feel obligated to read a certain number of books, which I don't want to, because as I always say, I don't want to make this feel like work where I'm forced to read. So anyway, let's get into the video. Hope you like it. Also, people have been asking me where I get my books. So mostly I buy them off on this online bookstore called Book Depository, which everybody knows. I'll have it linked down below because it has free international shipping, so I just order off of that. But they have ceased shipping to Sri Lanka for the moment because of COVID, so I'm just like, right now I'm buying bookstores off like the local bookstores we have here called Sarasavi, Vichayappa, and Makin Books. And when it comes to audiobooks, I have a monthly subscription to Scribd. It's like $8.99 per month and you get unlimited access to like all the audiobooks they have, and they have a lot. I've discovered some amazing books there, and especially now that I can't order books online, it has been really great. Also, it's a really great deal, guys, because when it comes to Audible, you have to pay for the subscription and the book that you buy. You only get like 1 free book per month, so as opposed to that, it's only $8.99 and you get like unlimited amount. So if you can afford it, I highly recommend you get Scribd because it's just great. Also, you have a 1-month free trial, so there's nothing to lose. So you can check it out. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it, but yeah, you can check it out for like a 1 month free and you'll have an unlimited amount of stories to just engulf. Anyway, let's get back to the video. So the first book I read is Every Breath by Nicholas Sparks. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm such a big fan of Sparks. I started reading his books in high school, and every time he drops a new one, I will make sure I will read it. I just don't know why. He's the only author who can write romance novels that just warms my heart. They're no way perfect, and most of his stories are quite overreaching and a little bit unrealistic, but I think that's kind of what I like about it. That's just so nice to read. So the story follows Hope Anderson, who comes to North Carolina to set up their family cottage up for sale, and there she just kind of reflects on her life and mulls over the difficult decisions which she has to make, including the status of her current relationship, which she has been in for like 8 years, and she's in her late 30s, and there's no plans for any kind of wedding in sight and all of that. And you also have True Walls, which is my favorite, and so he's born and raised in Zimbabwe. He's a safari guide and he's never been to America, but he gets a letter from a man claiming to be his father, and he invites him up to North Carolina. So as you can imagine, their paths cross and they fall in love. They both get to experience those inexplicable connections you get to make very few times in life. The best part about this book is that it was inspired by a true story about like 2 real people, and you can read the introduction and Sparks explains how he came to write this story. It's just a wonderful read, because in a world where the meaning of true love and sacrifice have been lost, the stories that Spark tells manages to warm my heart every time, and this was nothing short of that. So it's good. It was a good read. The next book is an audiobook that I listened to, and that is With Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I gave this a 5 out of 5. I'm not stingy with my ratings usually. If I can't put a book down, if I like the characters and they speak to me and there's like a really good plot, I would end up giving it a 5 stars. It's not a big deal. This book has such fantastic writing and there are some great characters that come out of it. This is a young adult contemporary, and the audiobook is narrated by the author herself, and it's actually such a great narration. She does it really well. The story follows Imani Santiago, who is a teenage mother and she supports her. She has to take care of her daughter with the help of her abuela, and her safe haven from all this responsibility and just being a parent is the kitchen where she cooks. In this book, I was hungry throughout the whole thing. She cooks really well, and the recipes, the description of all these meals that she makes, you can actually cook them yourself, because I think there are like recipes at the end of the book. The story is all about perseverance and chasing your dreams no matter what, even if you have to stay up all night, finish an assignment with a crying baby that constantly needs your attention. It was such a wonderful book. Imani is such a positive and strong character, and I really enjoyed watching how she grows and basically achieve her dreams. The next book I listened to is also an audiobook, which is called The Life We Bury by Alan Eskens. It is a mystery thriller, and I gave it 5 stars as well. It follows Joe Talbot, who is an English major, and he has to finish this writing assignment for his degree. The task is to interview a stranger and basically writes his autobiography. And then you have Carl, who is a Vietnam veteran and a convicted murderer. So he only has a few months to live, so he has been medically paroled into a nursing home where he is to spend out the rest of his life. He has spent 39 years in prison for crimes of murder and rape. And with very little time to complete this assignment, Joe decides to interview Carl and learn about his life. And the more he writes about it, the more he realizes how strange that this patriotic, incredible human being can be a convicted murderer. It's such an incredible book, and it's great narration. I don't want to tell you whether he did it or not, because I feel like you should discover it along with Joe Talbot, because he goes through his own stuff as well, and it was just a quick read. It was a great read. I gave it 5 stars. Next book is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is a trilogy, and I've only read the first one, and I plan to read the other 2 by the end of this year. Now, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. This is a young adult fantasy. So this is basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it was so hyped up on BookTube about good 5 or 6 years ago, and I think I'm a little older now reading this, because I tend to notice all this male-dominating and abusive relationships that goes on in this book, and I'm like, no. But I do like the writing style, and I do like the world, but I must say, reading this made me appreciate the recent releases more, where equality, sexuality, and cultural appreciation have been recognized. This one is another audiobook, which is Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It is a young adult romance, and there's nothing much to tell about this book. It's a very sappy, quick romance novel, which I just gobbled up. Because if you watch my videos, you know that you probably recognize that I read pretty much everything, and it's easy for me to enjoy a book in any kind of genre, so I love this. It's such a basic book, but I loved it. So this is the final book to the series, right? So it's all about Lara Jean saying goodbye to her high school life and preparing for college, and stuff about her boyfriend as well. I can't remember, but yeah, it was such a fun read. It's so much better than the Netflix movie, by the way, so if you really want a nice romantic novel to read on a rainy weekend, you should definitely pick this up. Next book I read is Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Yes, the wonderful people who wrote the Illuminae files. This is their next series called the Aurora Cycle, and it's the first book in a trilogy. It is YA science fiction, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. But I must warn you, the beginning was a little slow and quite boring. I almost didn't finish it, but it does pick up after a couple of chapters, so I really want you to be patient with it, because it gets good. The year is 2380, and the graduating cadets of the Aurora Academy have been assigned their first missions. We follow Tyler Jones's squad, which is made up of discipline cases, misfits, and losers. The story begins with Tyler saving this girl called Aurora from interdimensional space. She has been trapped in cryo for 2 centuries, which means she's from our time. I love science fiction and anything to do with space, so it was such a great read for me and I really enjoyed it. I can't wait for the second one. It's already out. It's called Aurora Burning. It also has an audiobook and it has a full cast of characters, so if you want that, I heard that it's really good. The last book I'm going to talk about is Every Heart a Doorway by Sean McGuire, or Shannon McGuire. I really don't know how to say it. People say his name in lots of different ways. Anyway, this is again, it's a young adult fantasy and I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. This is a very popular book and it's a 5-star read for a lot of people, but I guess it just wasn't for me. This is the first book in the Wayward Children series and I'm not sure if I want to continue with it, but yeah, I think it has like 5 or 6 books. So the story takes place in a world where kids are often slipping through portals into different magical worlds, and oftentimes they come back and have a hard time adapting to the real world. This is where Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children comes to play, where it's a school where kids who come back from magical worlds can go and get help readjusting to the real world. We follow our main character Nancy, who has just come back from her magical world and she wants nothing more than to go back. This sounds very interesting and intriguing. Me explaining it to you actually makes me want to read it again, to give it another try, but the first time I read it, I just didn't connect with the story or the characters. The book is very small, by the way. It's like 173 pages, so to introduce the world and the characters and the magic, all of it, to do it within less than 200 pages, it's not often successful. Anyway, it was a solid read. Definitely not my favorite, but it's still a 3 out of 5, so that means it's still a good read. And just remember, like, just because I didn't like it doesn't mean that you won't either. So pick it up, give it a try. It's a very quick read, so well, who knows, you might just like it. Alright guys, that is it for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe because I do upload every week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.